to work on children, and I'm actually here to say that's not true. The working with children is just the children. It just doesn't do the job. We can work with children. I know this from working for so many years. You can do amazing things with children, amazing things, and then they go home and they go back to exactly the same environment that they were before. So we need to remember that the parents, the teachers, the environment at home, all those things it's the rain, it's the water, it's the soil, it's the sun. We need to take care of it. So the first thing that I would like to promote in this webinar is we need to have a holistic approach to working with children. Because if we just focus on, okay, this is a child, this is a problem that the child has, we won't be able to achieve something that is sustainable. So I think sustainability is very important. And if we're helping children, we want to make sure that we help them for life. And there's a lot of research about the agents of identity. Now, the agents of identity are the people that are mostly close to the children. So children can be influenced by the people that are very close to them. Now, educators are important, other family members are important. The greatest influence on their children. They did a lot of research about who has the most influence, and parents has the most influence. So many years ago, I opened an early childhood center. And in this early childhood center, I wanted to prove that the children are, they're all talented and gifted. And everyone who heard about me and knew that I'm a special ed basically sent me all the special education children. They said, oh, okay, we have a special education person in the early years. And I'm talking about children that are 1.5 to 3 years old. Now, children have problems from a very early age. I mean, some of them you can notice in a very early age. I come from the group of people that believe that the plasticity of the brain is amazing, and we can do amazing things. Before the age of 5, we can do a lot more things. This is how it works. It's just like, and I had them. And back then I realized I did amazing things with those children because they brought me those special education children. And not long after, I could actually prove that all those children are amazingly talented, gifted children, able to do amazing things. And I had children that had severe problems. I remember one of the kids who came and I needed to do an assessment. He was about 2.5 years old. And, when I do an assessment, I give the kids activities and I write down how long they could sit down, they could sit still. And this kid, it was just a storm. He was just like, it'll go, and he went from this thing to this thing. And I didn't even have time to write down 30 seconds. Like, didn't have 30 seconds. Anyway, I could work with this child. It was really, really successful. And then I realized that he goes back home and no one understands how talented this child is. So back then, I'm talking about something that happened about 30 years ago. So back then, this is when I made the decision, big time, that I don't work only with children. I work with everything around the children. And this has been a great success for me. So I had my center, I did amazing things, and the most amazing bit was not my work with the children only, but the work that I had with the parents. And this is something that I would like to advocate. When you go to the programs, if you are a parent watching this, you are important in this whole process. If you are an educator, you are important. And all those people together, they need to connect for the benefit of the child. Because if there is no such a thing as this part of the child belongs to school, this part of the child belongs to home. No. This is a child. He's holistic. He absorbs everything from everyone. So parents, educators, they need to connect. They need to be together. They need to work on all those things. Now, I know in Indonesia, in Australia, I've been traveling the world and I lived in many, many different places around the world. And every place I went, because I am, it's part of my job, they were talking a lot about kids' IQ and kids' IQ and kids' IQ. Now, I want to explain, I want to say a short description about the history of the IQ so you can understand where EQ came from. Okay, it was 1904. Alfred Binet was a French psychologist, and he was asked by the government to build a test to help children that had some difficulties. So what they wanted is they wanted him to create a test that will help them find out where do we need to bring kids to. So Alfred Binet wrote a test, and the French government took the test and created something that it was actually devastating what they did. They created this benchmark that they said, if you are here, you are smart. If you're here, you are retarded. Now, and it was really, really horrible. It was horrible. Do you know why? Because so many successful people that now we know that they're successful people, they fell into the children with difficulties. They fell into the retarded children. They were those people that everyone looked at them and said, oh, no chance. No, there's nothing we can do about that one. Now, do you understand that that thought is a thought that any educators cannot afford to have? Not even a parent can afford to say, oh, okay, my child is just stupid. My child just retarded. Suddenly, we don't talk about children, we talk about a number. Now, I want you to know something. 30 years ago, when I did my degree, about 33 years ago, and 33 years ago, my teachers, a long time ago, they warned us educators from the IQ test. And they basically said to us, IQ tests are not a good measurement of a child's success or a child's ability. Why? Because theoretically, you're not supposed to be able to change the test. But we can change the test. We can actually work with the kids and change the test, which means the test is not correct. It means it's not accurate. Now, what I want you to understand is that Alfred Binet himself dedicated all his life dedicated to fight that test. That's what he did. He basically said, no, people are not a point on a scale and this is their full potential. Do you understand that IQ and the plasticity of the brain are totally contradiction? It's like they cannot go hand in hand. If you believe in IQ, then that's the maximum you can do. Now, I'm, as a special education teacher, when do I tell myself, that's it, I've reached the limit? When do I say to myself, no, this kid is able to do a lot more? As I said, we cannot afford at all. And I want you to know, Alfred Binet basically went from one place to another place to another place to fight that test and said, no, that's not what I meant. Sorry, no, I did not meant for this to happen. Now, IQ became very, very famous over the years. And around the 70s, they started questioning what is happening with the IQ. It was really, really a big question about, is it true or not true? Now, we tend to look at EQ as something that's the bottom of the iceberg, and it's really, really meaningful. And IQ is, look, it is. It is a part of what we need to do. It is a part of what we need to achieve, but it just sits at the top. There's a lot more than we can do at the bottom to make this thing happen. So IQ, yes, exists. It's more limiting to us as educators, more limiting for us as parents than the EQ, because the EQ came and said, no, children can have amazing abilities, not just in math, not just literacy and numeracy, not just math and reading and science. No, they can do amazing things. And all you need to do is world and see how many successful people, actually there is a list of how many people won a Nobel Prize that their IQ was very low. I was like, go Google it. Just Google IQ and low IQ and success. Now, we want our children, I've been running parenting workshops for the last 30 years. And you ask parents what they want, and all they want is their children to be happy and healthy. Happy, healthy, successful. Happy. No one writes down, oh, I want them to be a scientist. But seriously. Yeah, scientist, excellent. That's a bonus. But the thing is this, the children that have difficulties, that they learn differently, the children that are on the spectrum, or children that have ADHD or other learning difficulties, they're not mainstream kids. And you know what? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing. There's a beautiful book, I'm not sure what's the name of the author. It's called The New Alchemist, and it's a book about very, very successful people. And they checked, what they had in common. And what they discovered is that they were actually not a mainstream people. They were not the best kids in school with the highest academic achievement. They had a different mindset. And the thing is this, we want the children to have a different mindset. I tell all the children that I work with, and I said, if you'll be like everyone else, whoa, that's the biggest insult ever. You don't want to be just like everyone else. You want to be different. You want to be special. You want to be better. Now, I want to give you some models about emotional intelligence, and I hope that it'll help you understand what I mean. And the first model that I would like to share with you is what I call the sun model. It's the sunshine model. And I use this model to explain to parents and to explain to children. And I want you to know that even children that are 4 or 5 years old can understand that model very, very well. Now, in this model, imagine that our head is like a house, okay? And we are on the same neighborhood, different houses on the same street, and the sun is shining on all of us. Now, inside the houses, we don't have exactly the same light. Why is that? Because some houses have very thick screens that do not allow the sun to come in. Now, emotional intelligence is learning to open the screens. The sun is information that comes from the outside. The sun is shining exactly the same on all houses. Theoretically, sunshine, light should be exactly the same in all houses. It's not. It's not, because some houses have some of them have very thin screens. Some of them have very heavy screens, you know, the ones that you put on because you don't want the sun to get when in the morning you don't want to wake up. The thing is this, emotionally, all those screens are emotional capacities. When we are not in a good emotional state, the sun cannot come in. And that is the idea. The idea is that if children, if grown-ups, I'm actually here to tell you that grown-ups are exactly the same. If grown-ups or children have the ability to open the screens, then they can allow the information to come in. You know, in my this early childhood center that I opened, it was called the Garden of Eden, and it's because my daughter, her name is Eden, and I told people, they said to me, how do the kids know how to do this thing? I was like, I don't know. It's like, the thing is this, if you take care of children's emotional intelligence, they learn from the molecules in the air. This is how it works. Why? Because then you don't teach them anything, you only introduce things. It's a totally different space. Instead of pushing information to them, you are only introducing it. You just put it around. You know, I had children that were a year and a half, 2 years old. They could do 120 pieces of puzzles. They could read. They could do math. They could copy things. It was amazing. People looked at it and said, well, how does that work? I just said, well, it's in the air. They just ask for you to teach them how to do this. Why? Because the screens are open. And if the sun is shining with someone is doing something, or if I read something and then they come to me and says, Ronit, what is that thing? What does it say in here? So they ask me to teach them. Some people ask me, Ronit, why do you teach 2 years old to read? I said, I do not teach 2 years old to read. I teach them whatever. I would not teach a 2-year-old to read. But if a 2-year-old will ask me, how do you do 3 + 2? I will teach them. Why? Because if he already opened the screen, he asked for me to bring him this information, I give it. He told me, I'm open, give it to me. So remember the sun model. If children are in a good emotional state, they will learn a lot more than what you have, because they're able, they're not busy. And soon I'll share with you, what do I mean when I say they're not busy, emotionally busy? Now, the thing is this, we have a lot of feelings. We are, in fact, an emotional machine. And what we need to do is we need to learn to control that switch. Now, when I say to control that switch, I mean, yeah, it's good to be happy, but the truth is, you're not supposed to be happy all the time. Yes, it's okay. Sometimes you're upset, but you're not supposed to be upset all the time. There are some places where it's suitable to express your anger. There are some situations where it's suitable to express your happiness. It's not supposed to be on at all time, not supposed to be off at all times. Now, many children that you work with and I work with are children that a problem that they have is that they think that what they feel, they're not supposed to feel it. That's a problem. I want you to know that's a problem, because children go into a system and they're not supposed to be angry. They're not supposed to be frustrated. They're not supposed to be, well, no, it's okay. And this is exactly what we need to teach them. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to be disappointed. Now, this is emotional intelligence started later on, and look, on this slide there are many aspects of emotional intelligence that are really, really important. And I want you to know that each and one of them can make a huge difference in a child's ability to absorb information. Now, I personally do not use that model. I brought this in here in case someone wants to use that one and go into details. I personally prefer Goleman model. And Goleman model has a very simple mechanism, okay? Now, I'm going to present it, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Hopefully, you'll answer the question. So you can write this. I think I'll go and look at what you're writing. So, so we can make it a bit more interactive. Okay. So there are 4 levels of emotional intelligence based on Goleman. It's the simplest mechanism to understand what emotional intelligence is, simplest to understand and remember. That's why I use this one. Level 1, ability to recognize our own feelings. Level 2 is managing our feelings. Level 3 is recognizing someone else's feeling. And level 4 is helping and supporting others to manage their feeling. Now I have now 2 things I want to say about this. 1, we can only do emotional intelligence in this order. What do I mean? I mean, we cannot do level 3 if we don't know how to do 2. And we cannot do 2 if we don't know how to do 1, and so on and so on. Now, it is possible that in some areas of our lives we can do 1, and some of them we can do a bit more, but they always appear in order. Now, I have a question for you. Can you tell me professions or situations when we need to do 3 and 4 a lot? Let me go and see, what do people write? Where am I seeing the where do I see what people write, Grace?
There's a button on the bottom of your screen, just underneath. Yeah, it says chat. It's an icon. If you hover the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Yeah, can you see
no,
some icons?
Because I'm sharing a screen. Mine should be at the top, I think.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm not sure.
So it's either on the bottom or on the top. Can I read it to you? Oh, I'm
yes,
happy
please.
to read it to
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please, please.
No problem.
Please, thank you so
okay.
much.
So
Sorry.
it's okay. So therapist, teacher, parents, psychologist, occupational therapist, educator of special needs, counselor. They are the main sort of answers.
True. Now the thing is this, that's so true. Now I want you to understand that therapists, teachers, all the people, parents, all the people that you wrote, which is so true, are people that will not do a very good job if they don't know how to do 1 and 2. So if parents, for example, don't know how to recognize their own feelings and they don't know how to manage their own feelings, they cannot help someone else to do that. They cannot help someone else at all to do that. Children are not born with high emotional intelligence. They need to learn it. It's like a language. Feelings is a language that we need to learn. Now, a child who is, I don't know, 2 hours old, he knows how to express himself. He just doesn't know how it's called. He just, his job is to manipulate his surroundings. So he just does, yeah, and then mom does whatever he wants. And slowly, as socializing agents, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to teach them that this is how they feel. Now, we'll get to it. If you have any other question, if people ask me questions, please let me know, Grace.
Yes, I will.
So the thing is this: if you see all those things, the children that you're working with, you need to work with them on 3 and 4 all the time. But they need to be able to do that too. They need to be able to do that. We cannot be all the time saying to them, please go sit over there on the thinking chair. That will calm you down. This is not him managing his feeling. That's definitely not him managing his feelings. And it's a lot of the things that we do. Sometimes we say to children what they're supposed to do, and we think that that helps them manage their feelings. Yeah, it may be for this moment. What about tomorrow? What about when he goes to school? What about when he's not around you? You cannot be there at all times and tell him whenever someone says something nasty to you, instead of throwing something at him, you just take a deep breath.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Before you go any further, can you explain why it has to be in sequence, in order, from level 1 to level 4?
Yes. Now the thing is this: if I don't know, for example, if I don't know now that I'm upset, and I don't know how to manage my upsetness, how am I supposed to recognize when someone else is upset? If I don't know, let's say now, okay, you know what? My daughter did something and it was very upsetting. And I am so disappointed at what she did. And what I do is I just start screaming or anything like that. So first, I don't recognize that I'm upset. 2, I don't manage it because I just throw it on her. Now, she will definitely not going to get help from me because I'm now busy with my feelings. Definitely. And soon I'll explain to you how exactly that works, so you understand why when I don't know what is happening to me, then I'm just blah, everything comes out of my mouth is something that's going to damage my daughter, my student, my partner, any person that I'm in contact with, that I don't know how to manage what is happening to me. Whatever I say is going to go really, really wrong. So I'm definitely going to be able to help the other person. I'm not helpful at all. I'm useless. You know, I work with clients, and if I don't know what's happening to me, sometimes you know what I do? I can take on myself other people's feelings. Not good for me, because I'm not useful. I'm not helpful, because I'm just carrying now someone else's burden. I need to recognize, oh, Ronit, what happened to you now is judgment. Keep it to yourself. So I need to be aware. So people that are at services, they know they need to be aware. They know. They do it all the time. They have to. They have to. You know, I did on my thesis. I did my thesis 30 years ago, 31 years ago. I did my thesis, and the thesis was the difference between people who go and study psychology, social work, special education, and teaching. And the difference between all those 4 people is how do they manage themselves? So psychologists were people that can work a whole year for a person to say, I'm upset at my mom. So a whole year therapy, and at the end of it, the person says, something that happened to me, I'm very upset. Social workers work on a 6 months. They can manage themselves for 6 months. So it means they can work on a child, on the environment, and then they say, I need to see results within 6 months. If they don't see results within 6 months, that drives them nuts. Special education teachers, they need to see results within 3 months. Teachers, regular teachers at school, they need to see results within 3